It's funny. Have you noticed how the voices talking to us are, well, changing? I mean, the ones from our phones, our cars, even our smart speakers, they're starting to sound a lot less like robots and a lot more like us. It feels like this quiet little revolution has been happening right under our noses, but trust me, it's about to get a whole lot louder. So let's dig into how we even got here, and more importantly, where this is all headed.
Right, so let's push this idea a bit. Forget just an AI reading words off a page. I want you to imagine an AI that could build an entire world of sound around a story, where the narrator whispers a secret right into your ear, or you hear the sound of footsteps coming up from behind you. An AI that can shift its tone so subtly that you actually feel a character's joy or their sorrow. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is really the cutting edge of AI voice tech.
So, to really get where we're going, we've got to look at where we've been. For literally hundreds of years, we were trying to build speech with physical machines. I'm talking bellows, keyboards, mechanical tongues, you name it. But the real jump, that happened just a few years ago. In 2016, DeepMind's WaveNet just completely changed the game. It proved that neural networks could generate raw audio from scratch, and that took us from clunky machines to voices that sound human, basically overnight.
What's so wild is how these AI voices are made now. The whole approach has flipped. We went from something called concatenative synthesis, which is literally just stitching together tiny bits of pre-recorded sound. Think of those classic monotone GPS voices, to neural synthesis. This new way uses deep learning to create speech that actually gets the context, the emotion, the pacing. I mean, the difference is just night and day.
Okay, so what can we do with all this new power? Well, let's dive into some really fascinating research that sketches out a vision for a fully automated, AI-powered audiobook factory. And we're not just talking about reading a book out loud here, we're talking about full-blown audio production. The big idea here is to stop thinking about AI as just one tool and start thinking of it as a whole production team that works together. Picture a digital studio where you have different AI agents, each with a special job. One's the narrator, another is the sound designer, and a third one is the audio engineer mixing it all down. And they all work together perfectly 24/7.
Okay, so here's how the assembly line works. It starts with a text analysis agent that basically acts like a director. It reads the book, figures out the emotional beats, who's talking, and what their voice should sound like. Then, a neural narration agent performs the lines. At the exact same time, a sound generation agent is creating all the background effects, a door creaking, a car passing by. And then a final mixing agent takes all of it and puts it together into this polished, really immersive final product.
This diagram really gives you the bird's eye view of that whole workflow. You can see the raw text going in one end, and then it gets passed between all these specialized AIs. The text-to-speech part, the spatial audio generator, and then out the other side comes the final mixed audiobook. The key thing to see here is how they all collaborate. They're building something way bigger and more complex than any single AI could do on its own.
Now, the secret sauce that makes this all so mind-blowing is something called spatial audio. This is the tech that creates a full 3D soundscape right inside your headphones. It's what makes you feel like that garage door is actually creaking open behind you, or that a car engine is starting up just a few feet away. It's what turns just listening into a full-on experience.
So that all sounds absolutely incredible in a research paper. But what's it actually like for developers who are trying to build stuff with this technology today? Well, it turns out there's a pretty big gap between the lab and the real world.
We spent some time looking through what the developer community is saying, and the message is loud and clear. This technology might be powerful, but actually using it is a whole other story. It's messy. Developers are trying to navigate this landscape of different APIs, application programming interfaces, and each one seems to come with its own set of frustrating quirks and trade-offs. And this table, which is based on a lot of that developer feedback, really sums up the problem. You've got these rock-solid options like Google, but getting them set up is a huge headache. Then you've got others like Assembly AI and DeepGram that are pretty good for English, but their performance just tanks with other languages. Even if you try to host the models yourself, you run into weird accuracy issues. There's just no perfect one-size-fits-all solution out there yet. This quote from a developer on Reddit just hits the nail on the head. They said they're hunting for a white whale, an API that's simple, works accurately all over the world, and is actually powerful. It just perfectly captures that mix of frustration and ambition that so many developers are feeling right now.
So, okay, even with all those headaches for developers, the tech itself is just moving at an insane speed. So let's kind of shift gears here and look past the challenges and focus on the incredible things that are already possible today.
Because while developers are out there hunting for that white whale API,
Some companies are just not waiting. They're already taking these amazing concepts and turning them into real products that you and I can actually use right now.
So what can these top-of-the-line models actually do? Well, for starters, they can deliver speech with real emotion. They know when to whisper, when to sound excited. They can clone your voice from just a tiny few-second audio clip. They can speak fluently in over 70 languages. And they can even create a realistic back-and-forth conversation between different AI characters. It's pretty amazing.
But that incredible power, especially voice cloning, puts us at a really important crossroads. On one hand, the promise is huge. We could give a voice back to people who've lost theirs. On the other hand, the danger is just as real. We're talking about audio deepfakes that could be used for fraud, for spreading misinformation, or for breaking through security systems that use your voice as a password.
And make no mistake, this is not just some niche tech trend. There is serious money behind this. The market just for AI-narrated audiobooks is projected to be worth over $5 billion by 2027. That kind of money is a massive engine for innovation.
So, what's still standing in the way of this completely immersive audio future? Well, researchers are still wrestling with some big challenges. That real-time spatial audio, it takes a ton of computing power. There aren't really any standards yet, which makes it tough to scale these things. And personalization is a huge one. A 3D soundscape that sounds perfect to me might sound weird to you, just because of the shape of our heads and ears.
And that really brings us to the final big question. The technology to replicate, create, and share human-like voices on a massive scale. It's here. It's not coming, it's here. It can give a voice to someone who has none, it can tell stories in ways we've never even dreamed of, and it can also be used to deceive and mislead. The tool's in our hands now. The only real question left is, what are we going to choose to say with it?